This episode is sponsored by the Losing It merch store.
Yeah, we have a merch store, guys, that is pretty awesome. Thanks to guess who? Not me. No, Ronnie Whaley. We even have a Don't Poop in the Ocean logo. So get it while you can, guys. And there's Losing It mugs. There's T-shirts. There's what else? We got tote bags. What else we got, Ronnie?
Tote bags. We got hoodies.
T-shirts. Oh, really cute hoodies. There's a tie-dye hoodie that is da bomb. She pulls out an expression that she never should have used, and it's now 10 years old. But yeah, good merch. We have awesome merch.
There's a one T-shirt with you and your hair.
Oh, that's right. There's it's got a vintage picture of me from, I don't know, circa 1974. I got some awesome hair, and it says "Losing It" across my eyes. Very, very awesome. And also, we have my favorite phrase from me as a teacher. As a writing teacher, where would we be if Shakespeare had said, maybe I'll just journal? That's my, they're going to say that on my tombstone. And Ronnie made that one, which is really good because it's got a picture of Shakespeare like he's thinking about, should I write a play? So go to our website and the Losing It merch.
NelsieSpencer.com. And you'll see on the top merch.
Yeah. Or even probably / merch. And there it is.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what that is. What is that? /?
Oh, come on.
Oh, you mean like the /
thing. Merch.
I don't think that's the link.
I think it is.
Is it?
I think it is. See.
Because it goes to Spreadshirt.
You're right. I know nothing. Did you see? I was doubling down. The baby boomer was doubling down with the millennial about shit she knows nothing about. Okay.
Yeah, so go to NelsieSpencer.com, and then in the corner, it'll say merch, and then you just go there.
Go there. And this is the longest ad we've ever had, or anyone's ever had. Thank you. Goodbye.
All right. Let's go.
Losing it. If you got a story, we don't care if it's happy or gory. So come share your losing it story with us.
Hey everybody, welcome to Losing It with Nelsie Spencer. That's me. The podcast where every week I have a guest on and they tell a losing it story about something they've lost. Maybe it's something real and tangible like a ring, or something not so tangible like, I don't know, their self-esteem. I don't know. I hope that's not the story. And I'm here with my adorable, gorgeous, and talented producer, Ronnie Whaley. Hi, dear.
Hello. Wow. A lot of words right there.
Yeah, a lot of words. Adorable, talented, all those things. How you doing?
Doing good. Tired.
What's new? You're up there in the Great White North. My poor Filipino child is up in New Hampshire, where it's like single digits, right?
Yeah, I'm literally in a blizzard right now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's like I couldn't leave if I wanted to. Like the roads are just ice, and my skin is not doing very well. It's very dry.
How are your eyes? You have the
and they're really dry, but it's okay. I mean, I got my eye drops here, so
yeah.
Keep them handy.
I'm
just pouring myself with eye drops,
honey,
every 2 minutes.
Yeah, I walked my dog this morning and it was 9 degrees with the wind chill factor, and
that's we're in Jersey, right?
Yeah, that's in New Jersey. Like, it's much warmer here, like even than in New York. But forget New Hampshire. I mean, you're getting way north there. But
yeah,
9 degrees, and my dog's just like, awesome, man. She doesn't care.
Yeah, the dog we have here just loves snow for some reason. He's just running around in it.
Yeah, my old dog, I always knew if it was below 20 degrees, because we'd get about, 20 yards from the house, and he'd look back at me and go, and he'd just turn around and walk back. And I was like, thank you, God. But not Callie. She's tough. She's tough.
So what was that? What were we talking about just earlier about the...
We were talking about me trying to do a Filipino accent, which I scoffed at and said I wouldn't know how to do that. And then I remembered, oh, I might know, because my Zumba class that I used to go to before COVID, remember that when we used to go to workout classes?
Barely, yeah.
Had this contingent of Filipino women who were all nurses.
Yes.
And they always, I was telling Ronnie, in the Zumba class, they were always on the left side of the class, never on the right. It was like almost as if it was unspoken that the left side of the class was like you didn't go over there, because that was Filipino nurses only. There could have been a sign that said Filipino.
Yeah.
And then what did you say, Ronnie?
Well, I was just saying like that is 100% accurate, and that group right there on the left side, that's probably like 95% of the Philippines. It's just like, everyone's doing Zumba, and you're either doing Zumba or you're starting to be a nurse. And
when he said that, I was like, oh, really? And then I thought, oh, I just put my foot in my mouth like some stupid American. And he was like, no, really?
No, 100%. I bet my mom is doing Zumba right now. I mean, what time is it? It's like almost 6 a.m. Oh, she might be asleep, but in a couple hours, she might be up and at it doing some Zumba in the backyard or something. I don't know. Filipinos love to dance and they love to sing. Karaoke is like a really big thing.
Karaoke, it's almost like mandated by the state, right?
No, 100%. Yeah.
It's like, wait, you're Filipino and you don't do karaoke? I'm sorry, you're gonna have to leave.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And also this group, after almost every class, they're always taking group photos so they can post it on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
And, they're like, come in. And, I join them, but I feel like, I shouldn't be somehow. No, and they're so fun and they're loud. And again, look at me talking sweeping generalizations about a group, but it was true.
No, yeah, I give you a pass if that was something that you thought it was weird. But no, that's just describing the culture. And it's very much like that. Very inclusive, but they also like to stick together. But yeah, I could totally imagine that whole thing,
God. Yeah, the whole group, loved them all, and funny and sweet and friendly and loud, and all nurses, every single one of them.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why like Filipinos love to be nurses. And the thing is, they're like Filipinos. I'm pretending like it's as if I'm not Filipino. But,
he gets a pass.
But Filipinos are really good at being nurses for some reason. They're just really good at it. And I remember one time I was in the emergency room in Brooklyn. Well, I had like a kind of a mental breakdown and had like a panic attack, and then called 911, and I was in the emergency room. Long story.
We're gonna have to hear more about that. I think we're gonna have to let's put you on the docket for an interview, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we could circle around at some point with that one. But anyway, so yeah, I was having that mental breakdown, and I was in the emergency room, and I was kind of on this bed with a bunch. It was so crowded. This is like 2018. It was so crowded, and I remember there was 2 Filipino nurses, one male, one female, and the female was the one attending to me, and she was very like, super like sweet, and was like, because the other nurses who weren't Filipino.
Did they know you were Filipino?
Well, she said, I know. She looked at me, she's like, I know where you come from. Just like looking at me. And then I was telling her like I was having a panic attack, and she was like, look, I know where you're coming from. And because all the other nurses, when you have the weird thing about having a panic attack and going to the hospital is that they can't really do anything about it. It's crazy.
Could talk you down. Can't they just talk you down?
Well, not really. No. Well, that's what she did. So she empathized with me. She empathized, and then she was like, look, I'll help you out. I'll try to get you some medication just for helping you out right now. Because the other nurses, they were like, well, when I got picked up by the ambulance, they called it in, and they were like, it's just a panic attack. And I was right there, right next to the guy. And it's kind of like, Yeah, okay, it's not anything.
Yeah, it's from you out
crazy.
there. It's just a panic attack. Would you like to be inside my body? 'Cause
Exactly.
this is a fucking nightmare.
Exactly. It's called a panic attack for a reason.
Panic. It's not called a so-so attack.
Yeah,
or whatever
exactly.
attack. Panic.
Yeah, so in the ER, they don't treat it as something that needs to be treated immediately. So I was there for hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and she...
I mean, come on.
Yeah, and she was the only one that was like, I understand where you're coming from. I suffer from this too, and she was like, she always checking up on me, and no one else was. The doctor would come in, like, he came in, I remember, like 2 hours later, he was like, all right, we can call a psychiatrist if you want, but I mean, is that necessary? Like,
we can call, if you want, you fucking lame-o.
Seriously.
Right? I don't like him. Jesus.
Yeah, I was, he was like, why is he here? And well, the point of this was,
and the male Filipino nurse.
Yeah, well, the point of this whole thing, I don't know how it turned into that. I knew we were
going there. Uh-huh.
Well, the she was very attentive to me, and then the male Filipino nurse, as she was, because she wasn't supposed to be there, she was like supposed to be somewhere else. But the male Filipino nurse, he run that floor, and I've never seen someone run. Like, yeah, he was like, all right, you go there, you go there. You go there, and I was like, "Oh my God, we are so good at this. We are so good at being nurses. Like, all right, you take care of him, or you go over there." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen." It was amazing.
That's the exact feeling I would always have whenever I watched my mom make a martini. I was like, "We are so good at this."
Experts,
Us wasps,
it's in the blood.
We know how to make a martini.
Yeah. Man, we were built for.
Yeah, that's great. That's very cool, and that's very cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, we can get into that whole why I was there some other time, but
I think we must. I think we must. Yeah. Because that's some serious shit. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a panic attack. I don't. I mean, that doesn't. Like, not that I haven't been anxious, but it's never ramped up to that point. But everybody that I know that has them, you feel like you're dying. You feel you're dying.
I mean, it's to quickly sum it up, like the feeling of a panic attack is as if, that feeling of panic, right? Everyone's familiar with it. Imagine that feeling being switched on and then you don't know how to turn it off.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? You just don't know what to do,
Yeah. Well, you're in that flight or fight, and
exactly.
For whatever reason, it's gotten turned off, and you can't turn it on. It got turned on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. Well, on a lighter note.
on a lighter note, we have a fantastic guest, and it's thanks to Ronnie. It's a friend of Ronnie's who is. Well, you're going to hear all about it when I intro him, but his name is Adam Gold, and he's great and funny and smart and has a really good losing it story. So let's check it out. I have to stop always saying millennial producer. I just, he is a person. He's not defined by when he was born. Though he kind of is.
But he is a little bit, right?
He is a little bit, because he can do shit that I can't do. That's for damn sure. But can he moonwalk? No, and I can.
I actually can.
But, you can moonwalk?
It's whatever.
Okay.
I don't really.
Wait till the live show, guys. At the live show, I'm committing to this now. Ronnie and I will moonwalk. But the point is, he got me yet another great guest. And this is a guy that I think bonded over stand-up like way back in the day, meaning like 7 years ago, probably 3 years ago. That's back in the day when you're 20, when you're 25. And he sent Adam my way. And Adam has an interesting background, and I'm going to actually let him tell you that. But will you please help me welcome Adam Gold?
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Oh,
I know. I'm so glad Ronnie reached out, and it was really cool to hear more about the show and your background. I know. Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm so glad you could do it. So you have kind of an interesting background too, of like stand up and then writing. And first of all, I watched your send up of Bye Bye Miss American Pie, which was hysterical. and smart and funny. And like, so we'll get back to that. So you created this great parody, which you can watch on YouTube. And, but now you're working in a really interesting place. Talk a little bit about Rizzle.
Rizzle, yeah, exactly. So Rizzle is the easiest way to think about Rizzle. It's like TikTok, but series based. And, really, right, we have 15 million global users, which is really exciting. And we have, we're encouraging a lot of, comedians and emerging video creators to, make their own series on Rizzle, right? Again,
Perfect.
Vertical, 60-second chunks. And, we did a partnership with the 48 Hour Film Festival. We're looking into sort of larger industry partnerships in general, but it's a very exciting thing, and we've been able to greenlight 1,200 shows just since October, which is awesome. And being able to provide a budget, even if it's just a couple $100 to comedians and sort of emerging filmmakers every single month to make something on their phones in quarantine, like it works. It's the best place for me right now, if that makes sense.
Well, it's the timing could not be better. It's perfect, right? I mean, and it's the logical next step after TikTok, and TikTok was like the logical next step after Instagram and so on and so forth, right? I mean, totally. It's like, because as TikTok, and I know this much about TikTok, which is this much more than most people my age, but right. You see people wanting to use TikTok in that way. You see that there's sort of this desire to have it be more storytelling. So I think that's awesome.
No, it's a very, very fun space to be in. And it's funny because there's definitely a lot of people that maybe they're in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s that are like, oh, TikTok, like I'm way too old for that. But then all of a sudden they're on Rizzle, and it's the same sort of vertical 1 minute format, and they're like, okay, well this I can get used to, but it's the idea of just seeing teens dancing that they're like, I don't want that specifically, right?
Which is so funny because I exactly want that. Like because in my heart I'm still 15. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I can't believe that I never got to be a backup dancer for whoever. And my son's girlfriend, Samantha, she was explaining TikTok to me, like, I don't know how long ago. Right. And I was like, well, that's for the young people. And she's like, no, moms are blowing up now. And then she shows me this one TikTok of some mom doing really something embarrassing, and her daughter coming on and going, Mom, stop it. And it was, I think it was planned and kind of staged,
of course.
But it shows how you've got, like, the mom in the kitchen moonwalking or whatever,
right.
or, and I'm like, sign me up, because I'm still 15 in my mind. So,
oh my God. I mean, mom influencers, I could go on a whole tangent about this, but mom influencers are such a big,
they're a thing, right?
Market. Oh my God. You're talking about the market with the most spending power, realistically, like, for all these different products at least on Instagram. But anyways, we're not going to just spend all podcasts talking about content marketing, are we?
No, please don't go there. But so how long have you been at Rizzle?
I've only been there for about 4 months. And before that, I worked at College Humor.
Which everybody has heard of, and which is huge.
Totally.
And yeah.
So yeah, I was like an executive assistant, and then I was able to, go up the ladder to production coordinator, which is pretty exciting. Booking talent in the New York area for all of our like live shows and video podcasts, something I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah. And so is that like, what's your dream job?
Right. I mean, really, I always loved like writing and producing and working with comedians, and so just being able to being able to work with a lot of creators on different, very like fun, fulfilling projects really is the goal. And I feel like I'm sort of doing that right now with Rizzle and some of these other like side projects as well. And so it's exciting to be able, to wake up every morning, not go outside, not talk to anybody, but still feel like I'm doing a lot of work and sort of, working towards, this larger goal.
Yeah. And not only to feel like you're doing it, you're doing it. Like, that's
Right.
so awesome. That's so much fun. Where are you from, Adam?
I'm from New Orleans.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And
Very
everybody
fun.
says, why don't you have the accent? Am I right?
Yeah, I
Everybody
mean,
says that?
I know both my parents are from up north, and it's, I'm right. I look like I'm just straight out of, New York, New Jersey, as I sit here in my Brooklyn apartment, right? So,
well, it's funny because I did a movie that I co-wrote, Valley Inn, which was shot in Arkansas. You kind of think that everybody in Arkansas are saying, and it depends where you grow up. It depends where you grew up. It depends where your parents grew up. You don't necessarily come out of New Orleans with that very distinctive accent.
not at all.
And you've been up here how long?
About 4 years.
And what do you think? You liking it?
I love it. I mean, it's great. I love it. I love it so much. I feel like,
God.
yeah, it's really, I feel like I've only had sort of like, 3 full years in the city before everything shut down, but here we are. So
That's awesome. And you live in Brooklyn, of course, as I think is now mandated by the state.
Yeah.
If you come to New York and you're under a certain age, they just ship you to Brooklyn. You're not even allowed to look for an apartment in Manhattan.
I mean, any person that identified at one point as an unemployed comedy producer, right? You automatically get placed in Brooklyn. Right?
They stop you. They stop you at the tunnel, and they're like, "Okay, this guy goes to Brooklyn." Yeah, no, unemployed comedy producer, is that even a thing, right?
My girlfriend's a nurse, and she just got the first dose of the vaccine, and she was just like, when are you getting it? I was like, I don't know when the comedy producers are supposed to get it. Like, I think we're there's normal people, there's old people, there's talent, and then there's 50 layers of shit, and then the producers, right?
Yeah. Anybody with pre-existing condition, even if it's eczema, they are definitely getting in line before that.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Although I heard, and who knows if it's true or not, but I was listening to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. I'm always plugging his podcast because, poor Conan, he needs some help because nobody really listens to that. And he was saying that entertainers are somehow kind of far up on the list. Like, he didn't use the word essential workers, but it was like, what?
That's really, huh?
Like, podcasters are somehow in line.
Oh, actually, no, sorry. I think I know what you're talking about.
Please,
he
thank
said
you.
that podcasters are considered journalists. So journalists get the shot because journalists need to share information.
Yes, and I'm sharing such important information that I should be getting. Wait, they're here. I'm getting my shot. They came to the door because I am talking about moonwalking as I should be. That's crazy, right? You shouldn't have said you were an unemployed, but you're an employed comedy producer. That is so fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you're at Rizzle. You totally dig it. Guys, check it out. Rizzle.com, yes?
Rizzle.tv.
.com. Rizzle.tv.
TV is like
okay, it's a new thing.
Right,
It's probably not a new thing, Nelsie. It's probably been around for a while. Rizzle.tv. Okay. Which I looked at the website. It looks awesome. And it totally, once again, it totally looks like, oh, I want to do a series for them. I love the immediacy of that kind of creativity.
Right.
I love that you've got a phone, you've got an idea, you have a best friend, you're going.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the goal there. And especially because anyone can have a crazy idea in a minute, right?
Yeah.
And so it's one thing to get a pitch, but it's, we always ask for like just a 60-second proof of concept because, right, anyone can have a crazy, awesome idea.
When you say proof of concept?
Right. So if we're going to...
What do you mean by that?
So if we order, a 10-episode series order, right, and we want to see what one episode would look like, what one sort of 50 to 60-second episode would look like so we can sort of evaluate budget, really.
Wow. 50 or 60-second episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
No more reading. I don't read. Someone sent me a pilot the other day and they're like, can you read this and then decide if you want to make a series? I'm like, I can't. I don't have time.
I can't possibly absorb 23 pages. What are you, insane?
I know. I don't read in this job, right? I just watch short videos and scroll. It's nice.
Well, the one that I noticed today when I went on was the one that was like, I think it's called The Assistant or something like that. And I think it's like Uncle Joey from Full House is actually in it. Like, I'm like, okay,
right.
They've got some celebrity going on here.
Yeah, we have a couple celebrity cameos.
Yeah, it looks very funny and very fun because it was it looks like it's that, like a parody or satire on that idea of the celebrity who needs an assistant and the weird stuff that they would ask for. Of course. Yeah. So anyway, I got sucked in immediately. You guys check it out, rizzle.tv. And they're looking for content.
Yes, we are.
They're looking for content. They're looking for pitches. And, get your phone and come up with an idea, but an idea that has legs. Because, yes, you need those 50 to 60 seconds, but then what's the next one? You have to know about what's the next one.
Totally.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. So you're from New Orleans. Do you say New Orleans or do you say New Orleans?
I say New Orleans, and then you'll notice in like music, a lot of people like Leon Bridges or like all these other artists, they say New Orleans just because it sounds better, right? Like New Orleans like sounds better when you're like singing or like it rhymes with more things. But if you say you're from New Orleans, no one will ever believe you, right? New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. Yeah, I've never been. And
gotta go.
Oddly, weird coincidence, I was watching a not very good John Grisham movie last night called Runaway Jury, which is shot in New Orleans and takes place in New Orleans. Or New Orleans.
Doesn't take place there.
Not very good, but I stayed through the whole thing nonetheless.
What a trooper.
I'm these are the things that build character. Staying till the end of a shitty movie. It wasn't shitty. That's too strong of a word. But So for some reason, my husband and I got on a John Grisham kick. Believe me, which was he led that charge. Like I'm much more likely to get on a Seth Rogen kick or Sandra Bullock kick. But okay. So you came to New York. You've been here for 4 years, but you've been inside for one of those 4 years.
Yeah.
And do you and your girlfriend live together?
We don't like officially, but we spent all of quarantine together. I actually got sick back in late March.
You got COVID?
I got COVID, right?
Wow.
And fortunately, I was only sick for like 4 days, fortunately. But I distinctly remember, my friend tagged me on Instagram, and he tagged me and he said, you should really do 10 push-ups because we're doing this 10 push-up challenge. And I said, my fever is 104. Fuck off. Like, I can't believe that you would tag me in this and then have the balls to text me a follow-up and be like, did you see that I asked you to do push-ups?
And he knew you had COVID?
He didn't know, but but it's just one of those things that two very weird sort of trends happening simultaneously.
Right. There's a pandemic and a push-up challenge. And yeah. Oh my God. It's funny because Ronnie he texted me saying he wasn't feeling well yesterday, and immediately you're like, right. Somebody coughs, somebody sneezes. So you got it. Did your girlfriend not get it? She didn't get it?
She also lost her sense of smell, but then she tested negative for the antibodies. But she also, as a nurse, worked on a COVID unit. So I think she was definitely exposed, but maybe, I guess, didn't test positive for the antibodies.
Who the hell knows, right? It's weird.
Right.
It's weird. I mean, if you lose your sense of smell, that doesn't happen.
Right. And then you lose your sense of taste, not just because of her cooking.
But I'm bum.
Hey, I'll be here all hour.
Hey, tip your wait staff.
Hey,
I'm here all week.
That's right.
And guess what? My girlfriend and I just broke up.
Rizzle.tv. Oh, man.
Okay, we're going to take a break and hear from one of our sponsors.
Yeah, it's great. do that.
So should I say that again?
Yeah.
You know what? Let's take a break and hear from one of our sponsors. Hi, this is Nelsie Spencer. I'm a sponsor. Now listen, have you guys made your New Year's resolutions? Is it that you're going to finally start writing, continue writing, get back to writing? Well, whether you're working on a memoir, novel, screenplay, TV pilot, or even a puppet show, you can work with me one-on-one, or you can get help from me as a virtual writing coach. It's really affordable, it's fun, it's easy, it creates accountability, support, inspiration, and guidance. So go to nelsiespencer.com, click on the link that says Ticket to Write, and I will help you make your New Year's resolutions come true, and you'll finally finish that book, novel, memoir, or puppet show. Bye. Well, look, if you guys survived quarantine, that's a pretty big deal.
Oh, yeah. No.
Am I right?
Yeah. We actually just went away. We went skiing this past weekend, which was really fun. So.
Did you really? So my son and his girlfriend were going to go, but you have to, because of COVID, you have to really do it in advance because they only are accepting so many people, right?
Not this mountain.
Come on, guys.
We went to the Poconos.
The Poconos.
Right. We went to like Camelback Mountain in the Poconos, and we got hungry midway through, and I remember there were like two separate dining areas, right? One was, it had, the indoor-outdoor setup, and it had these like huge heat lamps, and it was like a smokehouse barbecue. And the other one was just like your, food court mall area that just smelled like feet. And, they had chicken tenders and fries. And I'll never forget, like, I was like biting into my chicken tender, and this guy just like took off his shirt, at the table next to me. I mean, it was just like a big hodgepodge of people.
Oh, right? My Lord. And you lived to tell the tale. Well, I guess you've got some antibodies.
Yeah, right.
And your girlfriend's gotten the vaccine.
At least the first dose, right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I understand that you have a losing it story for me.
I do. And this is the story about how I almost got my dream internship, which would have, hopefully really launched my career. And at the time, I was, I had a ton of emotions, which I'll of course get into.
So you lost your dream internship.
Right.
Okay.
Over this story. And so again, it all starts where I'm in college. I'm at University of Maryland. I'm a junior, and I'm like, okay, this is the summer where I'm going to get this internship at Comedy Central, right? Every comedy producer's dream. I applied to the, development internship, and I have a great phone interview. And the night before the phone interview, I'm like, okay, I should really prepare. And then I got a notification that the Career Center at Maryland was doing they were doing a whole like speed networking event. And I'm like, oh, I'll go to the Career
Center. Like instead of speed dating, it's speed networking?
Yeah, it's a really weird concept where, like, again, you stand still and different sort of like professionals will like give you like networking advice to like students, and it's a little helpful, but right in this story,
and very stressful, I would think.
Of course, so
right, because when you're that age, you're like, this is gonna make me or break me, right?
Yeah,
and the pressure.
The pressure is immense, and I get there. I tell them I have this interview tomorrow, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And I get like a lot of, sort of the generic pieces of advice, research and write a handwritten thank you note, and it's like all these stuff that you've heard like 1,000 times. And then I had one person who was like, "You should come armed with a fun fact, right, about the person or the company." And it would be great if if you found something about the person and you were able to bring it up in a conversation to show you really did research. And I'm like, yeah, that's such a great idea. So I Google this person that I'm interviewing with, and I find his college essay, okay, published in the Chicago Tribune, from like 10 years ago. And it's about his grandfather who was, a pick yourself up by your bootstrapped, immigrant, and really, just a really sort of like well-rounded individual, right? Yeah. Immigrant story, like feel good nature. So we're in the interview and we're talking. We're 20 minutes in. We're talking about, what is good writing. And I go, actually, I stumbled upon an article about this, this pick yourself up by your bootstrap immigrant. And, I reference it, and the guy's like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like, he can't believe it. He thought it was so funny that I brought up this story.
And good for you, how you brought it up in kind of a slick way.
I thought it was pretty slick.
I thought that's pretty slick, right? Speaking of good writing, well, I just happened to come upon this.
It slapped me in the face. My assistant threw it to me. Right? Like,
my assistant. I'm a junior in college, but I do have an assistant. He's a freshman, and I have him chained to the radiator right now.
Oh my God! Exactly.
Shut up, Billy. Yeah. So
exactly.
So you say this. You're kind of smooth.
I'm kind of smooth. It goes over great. Interview ends. A week passes, 2 weeks pass. I'm like, okay, this is great. A month passes, and I'm like, I think I should probably, hear something. And, another reason why I was able to sort of, even get this interview is, right, it's my professor whose former student is working at the company. And so I end up, I'm in class with my professor, and he says, Adam, why don't you stay after for a couple minutes? And I'm like, okay. So I talk to him. I go, what's going on? And he goes, you fucked up. You creeped him out. You brought up a story about his grandfather. You completely blew it. They liked you. They really liked you, and you creeped him out. Why would you bring that up?
Oh my God.
And again,
you're as you're telling me this, my palms are sweating. How would you? I mean, I can see that, but how would you know?
How would you know? And I replayed it in my mind over and over again. I'm convinced I lost. If you saw a picture of me 5 years ago, you would know that I lost hair over this situation.
So unfair.
I know, and I was talking to my family about it, and it really upset me, and obviously I sort of lost my dream internship that way.
Well,
and
when your professor said that to you, what did you say? Did you go?
Oh no, I completely defended it. I was I was so sly, and my assistant brought it up, and I blamed the assistant changing the radiator. Really.
Yeah, you gotta throw. That's why we have assistants, so we can just throw them under the bus, right?
Under the bus.
Yeah. So wow.
Yeah, I mean.
So keep going. I interrupted you.
No. I was just gonna say that the sort of the end to the story is that obviously everything is worked out one way or another, and I've run into this person. I haven't officially introduced myself because I'm terrified to do so.
So you've run into Mr. The guy who interviewed you, acted like it was kind of cool, and then turns out he, wanted to get an order of protection because he thought you were creepy.
Totally. I'm terrified to bring this up and even talk about it with him, but he's someone he's in the industry, he's in the world, and I see him at I used to see him at live shows and parties, and it's part of me, I would have to get really, really drunk, but part of me definitely wants to bring it up, but it's something that it brings back a lot of emotions. Now I can laugh about it and I can talk about it, on podcasts, but at the time, right? I mean, I thought that was it. And again, as well as I do, just how competitive not only these internships, these entry-level jobs. And
please let me work for you for no money.
Right.
Please let me bring you coffee. right?
Yeah.
And then to get rejected from that, it's so disheartening.
Right. At the same time, like, would I've had an easier sort of climb if I had gotten that internship? Maybe, probably. But the first job I did have in New York, was, and it's definitely a fun story. I worked at Caroline's on Broadway, the comedy club, as a waiter.
Hello. Much better stories.
Much better stories.
Right? Come on. How iconic. Caroline's is so iconic compared to Comedy Central. Not that, look, because Caroline's was around 2 decades before Comedy Central.
Totally.
Right? So do you have any good stories from there?
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget it was like one of the first days I was working. Someone poked me aggressively on the back and then asked for for a Sprite and a club soda. And I turn around and it's Tracey Morgan. And that was like the first time that I was like, and it's one of those things where like, he told me this and then I like froze and then he had to like tell me again. Cause he was like, okay, now that you understand what's going on, let me tell you, what's happening.
Now that you've processed that I am who I am, I'm Tracey Morgan.
Right. And then if you're familiar with Kyle Mooney from SNL and his...
Oh, yeah. I love Kyle Mooney.
And his body of work.
Yeah.
So
he had all those fun little videos that he did before he was on SNL that my son turned me on to.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So he has one character...
Hook me up fatty style. Wasn't that one of his lines?
It sounds like one.
It is, and the fact that I know that, come on, I get some cred for that.
Yeah, you get some millennial fucking avocado spreader points for that.
Yeah, that's the only reason I procreated, so I could get some millennial points, and I could know people like Kyle Mooney.
So he does a character on SNL called Bruce Chandling, if you're familiar.
Oh, I love that.
It's the failed stand-up comedian character.
Oh yes, and really funny but heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so he came to Caroline's and he was trying to explain to the host of the show, who I guess just didn't know who he was. He was trying to explain to him the character, and he was like, just act as if Jerry Seinfeld is about to perform. Like, act as if this is a huge deal, right? And the host is like, okay, sure. And so I go up to Kyle Mooney and I'm like, and I never ever, fanboy, it's never, oh my God, I love your stuff. It's always, what can I get for you? But in this case, I was like, what can I get for you, Mr. Chandling? Just to give him a little,
little wink there. I know your
tip
shit.
of the hat.
Yep. Excellent.
And he goes, oh, And I go, I do not get women. And, not a good impression, but like an homage. And he goes, dude, why am I even here? Just go on stage for me right now. I mean, the coolest guy, like really, really nice.
I love him.
So, right. And he ordered a tequila soda and then a Bud Light for the character. So that was... Oh
my God. He is the kind of guy, because my son showed me him a while ago now, because he's been on SNL for a while.
Right.
And I saw his video stuff that he would do, 3 or 4 years before that. And I love his humor. I love the way his brain works. He is the kind of guy where I was like, oh, I would want to be friends with him. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because there's some people,
fun.
There's some performers that you love, and some performers that you love, and you think, oh, I want to be friends with them.
Yeah. I have one more stand-up related story. If that's all right, if we have enough time.
We do.
Yeah, we
got
have
3 minutes.
Couple minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Adam has a heart out. He's an executive on Rizzle.tv. So, there were a lot. He had to have Evian in the green room. He's having a foot massage during this.
All of my books that are currently on the floor.
He had to have the books in the background to show that he's intelligent. So go ahead. One more story about a stand-up. I'm ready.
So this actually happened at Gotham Comedy Club. Again, when I moved to New York, I found sort of just like a random roommate, and I really didn't get along with him. And again, I'm sort of busting my ass at Caroline's, waiting tables, and he comes home from work one night and he goes, "You're not going to believe this, but I just saw Gerald Seinfeld." And I was just like, "Jerry?" And he was like, "Sure." And I was like, "What? Like, what are you saying?" And he was like, I actually heckled him too." And I was like, wait, what is this story? So he tells me, and this is wild, okay? He was at, Jerry Seinfeld popped into Gotham and did like a surprise 20-minute set. Sure. And he did one bit about raisins, okay? Which apparently just like didn't hit as hard as the normal Seinfeld stuff. Mm-hmm. So then, about 10 minutes later, Jerry again is going, again, rhetorical question goes, "All right, what else should I talk about?" And my friend my roommate, not my friend.
Yeah, not friend, my random roommate, we'll just call him Double R. Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh. Yells more raisin jokes and everyone laughs. Okay. Apparently, right?
According to him,
right? Mm-hmm. And so, he tells me this story. I like sort of take it with a grain of salt, and I'm like, okay, very cool. And fast forward 5 months later, okay, I'm watching David Letterman's Netflix show, My Next Guest, and he has Jerry Seinfeld on.
Gerald Seinfeld.
Gerald Seinfeld on. They're talking about jokes, and Jerry does his raisin joke, okay? And Letterman goes, "What was that? Like, where's the punchline?" And Jerry goes, "You know what? I was working that out a couple months ago at Gotham Comedy Club when a young man yelled out more raisin jokes." And
I saw this interview.
Yeah. That was my old roommate.
Oh my God. That's so annoying. That random roommate who doesn't know the difference between Jerry and Gerald got referenced. But that is a good story.
Wild.
Oh my God. And how long did that roommate last?
I mean, it was a year, right?
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah. Random roommate. There's an anthology for you. Everybody has a good random roommate story.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Adam, this was fantastic. And I feel like that we could talk so much further about Comedy Central, Gotham, Caroline's, and, 50-second episodes.
Right.
But you have to go. You're leaving us.
I know. Thank you so much for having me.
This was so much fun. This was so much fun.
We forgot to ask him the 3 questions.
Oh my God. This is why I hired this man. This is why I pay him nothing. Okay? I pay him compliments. Yeah. You look so lovely today, Ronnie.
That's all I need.
Yes, we have 3. Oh, as you may or may not know, Adam, we have 3 questions. The first one is, what do you hope to lose in the next year? What do you hope to gain in the next year? And what do you hope you never lose?
So, something I hope to lose in the next year. Does everyone just say 15 pounds? Is that I should not go there.
No.
All right. I feel like regular listeners of the show are like, all right, we've heard it once. We've heard it twice.
15 pounds is a little bit lame.
It's a little bit lame.
Yeah.
I think something that I want to lose in the next year is, I think that I feel like I get too hung up on, I answer emails, and this is so specific, but
that's okay.
I will sometimes answer emails so slowly, and I feel like it's a good habit just to, to get it done, right? Answer emails in like 30 seconds.
And do you answer them slowly do you answer them slowly, meaning it takes a long time to get back to them, or once you're getting back, it's like you're writing, Moby Dick?
I think I'm just overthinking things in a lot of ways, just being able to make sort of like quick decisions. And I think that can also, I'll also apply that to, ordering off the brunch menu. I'm just like looking at it for like 7 minutes being like, well, I could get this. Wait, this isn't the most important decision in my life, like.
I relate to that. I am always the last person to order. You always come to me last.
Come back to me.
Yes, come back to me. Because I will only make a decision under incredible pressure. Yes. Okay. So I think what you're saying is whether it's emails or the brunch menu, you want to lose this sort of worrying about things too much. Just like do it. You know what? I'm going to have the scrambled eggs. No. I'll have them poached. No. Yeah. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, good. That's something you want to lose. Too much perseverating is what my friend who's a therapist would say. Overthinking. Okay.
Right.
And something you want to gain in the next year?
Something I want to gain is I want to gain time, carve out time to just write, to really just be able to write and get ideas on the page, because it's something that I heard this so much, especially in quarantine. People always said, oh, if I had all the time in the world, I would do this and that, and I would write my pilot and I would do this. And, they ended up doing nothing, right? They watched Netflix and they sat on their ass.
Yeah. I can help, not to be like a real jerk, but I can help you with that because that's actually what I do for a living, is I help people prioritize their creativity, and specifically writers. So, let's just hop on the phone and have a 20-minute conversation, and I will get you writing. I'm not kidding.
I love that.
My gift to you, Adam. Okay, and something you hope you never lose.
Something that I hope that I never lose is, probably just I love connecting with people, right? I love it's something that I will always, I always want to meet the one person at the party that I do not know, right? Mm-hmm. And it's hard, obviously, because we're all sort of apart, and it's easy to not to be connected, and there's definitely Zoom burnout and stuff like that. But I do hope that I always will be able to have that drive to connect with people.
That's awesome. I am with you on that 110%. I mean, for me, that's why I'm on the planet, right. We're an interesting species, and I think that we're social animals, and I love, connecting and riffing and talking and hearing and learning about people. And awesome. Well, that was fantastic. I think it's time for you to let Billy off the radiator, and you just give him a snack. Don't be too nice, because you don't want him to get uppity, right?
I know. I have my radiator, right here, and I want to, tilt the camera. Okay. You get a snippet of the radiator right there. There he is.
Well, I know in a Brooklyn apartment you've got a radiator.
Yeah.
Because it was pre-war apartment. So this was fantastic, and everybody check out Rizzle.tv. Obviously it's an app. And It's TikTok for people who have a little more to say, not necessarily more time to say it, but are saying, have something different to say, right? You're not dancing around your kitchen. Yeah. You're going to tell a story.
Series-based, right. Comedy, drama.
See?
Scripted or unscripted.
Drama. Scripted or unscripted. Boom. All right. Well, we're going to have a conversation later in the week, and I'm going to get you writing, and we're going to create some goals.
Awesome.
For 2021.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Adam. This was great.
Thank you, Nelsie. Thanks, awesome. Ronnie.
Bye. Well, that was a heck of a story. He's fun. I like him.
Yeah.
He's adorable. Yeah. Well, we had last week was Zach Scow. I'm sure you guys remember Marley's Mutts, and as we asked people to send us a story about. Am I doing this right, Ronnie? Ronnie just told me what to do, and then I'm like, am I fucking this up?
No, you're right.
No. See, we're doing this, then we're doing this, then we're doing this.
I do want to say though, about Adam is the funny way how I met Adam, and that's how we got him on the show, because I know him personally.
Yeah.
Is our friend Abaz, who I'm living with, he met him, I think, on like the subway through a friend that he just ran into, and they were friends. And then Abaz had a party at his apartment, and I went to that party, and I was introduced to Adam, and then we were just in a room in Brooklyn, and we were all talking. It was a party, and he was talking about something, and then he made a very slight reference to a stand-up bit that I'm familiar with. I don't want to say the comedian's name just because the guy's in a little bit of trouble right now, but the comedian's in a little bit of trouble, and so I'm not glorifying the comedian, but it was something that we bonded over. So he said some, and then I was like, there was a pause, and then I was like, out of everybody that was there, I was like, I like that guy. I think he's hilarious.
Right, you knew who it was.
I knew it was, and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe that is insane. I said one word in a certain, way, and then we just connected after that. We just
That's so awesome.
We just talked, and and then when he told me about, how he was a waiter at like Gotham, and he had this whole comedy career path. It was something that I've dreamed of my whole life. I was so envious of it. I was watching SNL as a kid, and you hear about the path, the story of the stand-up, the comedy writer.
Yeah.
And I was just so interested and we just talked, and here he was,
Yeah. You guys bonded. You were like this, of the same ilk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and I mean the stories of him being at working at Gotham and Caroline's too, right? Wasn't he at Caroline's too?
Yeah,
am I making that
get
up?
them. No, I'm sure. I honestly, I get them mixed up.
Yeah, well, Caroline's is big. Caroline's is a really big room. That's the last place I ever did stand up. Well, that's the last place I did stand up before I had kids. I was 5 months.
Oh, you did stand up at Caroline's?
Once. And
but it's still a big deal.
It was the early show. No, don't give me any credit I don't deserve.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome.
And believe me, I was very excited about it. I was 5 months pregnant, and I did the early show at Caroline's.
You did stand up pregnant?
Yeah, and I did not. It was not a great set, just so you know.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't say I bombed. I did fine, but I did not kill.
Okay.
And yeah.
You warmed up the crowd.
I might have cooled him off a little bit, but but yeah, and I think he was at Caroline's. I think when he had that Kyle Mooney.
That's right. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah,
which made me feel good that I was able to go. Yeah, I know who Kyle Mooney is before he was on SNL because I have children who know shit and tell me. But yeah, no, I loved Adam, and that was really fun, and he's got a hell of a story. So, but we have a story, I hope, because last week after Zach Scow, we said, if you've got any stories about, losing or helping an animal pass over is kind of, I think, how we put it. Mm-hmm. And the one that I knew could not beat anything that we got via Gmail, which of course we didn't because there are no good stories about losing an animal, is my brother's story. So we invited Cardi on, and here is his story.
So I'm not sure which part of the story you want me to tell, so I'm just going to tell the whole thing. It starts with my cat Aretha, who was my beautiful black cat who lived for 14 years. And towards the last year or so, she moved to New York with me after having her whole canyon outdoors. So she was a bi-coastal cat. And the last year of her life, her energy level got very low, and I was very concerned about her. And I took her to the doctor, and they said, well, she's just an older cat. And there wasn't much that they said we could do. But I kept getting having dreams that I had gotten another cat, and it perked her up. It made her feel better. And even though people with animals, I'm sure, know that there's certain animals that they bonded with you and they don't want another animal. And Aretha was certainly like that. But I kept having these dreams. And, her energy level was so low, I just thought, all right, I'm going to follow the dream. And my friend and I went over to the SPCA, and we picked out this tiny little tabby kitten and brought it home. And the first night, Aretha was just didn't want it at all. And poor little Max was just kind of hiding under the couch. But by the third night, or by the second night, they began sleeping closer together to each other on the couch as we would sit and watch TV at night. And the third night, Aretha was on one leg, Max was on the other, and I thought, oh, good, they're beginning to bond. It was wonderful. And the next day, I had an audition. This is when I was being a working actor in New York. And before the audition, I went into my meditation, which I often do, and I had this strange experience where I felt this heaviness come down on me, and I literally sat there for a long time, feeling like I couldn't move, and feeling like the Sphinx. It felt like this solid thing, very cat-like energy. And I didn't really pay much attention except for the fact that it was strange. I'd never experienced anything like that. So I went to my audition, and then when I got home from the audition, I immediately went to look for the cats, see how they were doing. And little Max was there meowing, but I couldn't find Aretha. And then I went and looked on my bed, and my partner, my roommate, had left my little personal phone book open to the page of the vet. And I thought, oh, shit, what's happening? So I called the vet and I said, does my partner happen to be there with my cat Aretha? And the reception said, oh, yes, hold on. And I could almost tell from her voice that it wasn't going to be good. And so Stuart got on the phone and all he could say was, our girl is gone. And of course, he was sobbing. I was sobbing. I rushed over there, was able.
Because you got Aretha in high school, Cardi.
Yeah.
Right. He'd had her for a long time.
Got me through some of the toughest times of my life, including when she was gone for 3 days after she got poisoned. Remember that? And I was sure she was dead. I had just finished listening for the 10th time to Aretha the singer's song, Until You Come Back to Me. That's what I'm going to do, sobbing. And I went out to my car to drive to my afternoon job. And here was Aretha coming up the street. And for some reason she wasn't ready to go. And so she had a number of lives. But anyway, I went over and there she was. She was definitely gone this time. She wasn't coming back. And the first 3 days, Max was really kind of an active cat. He was able to eat out of his bowl. He used the poop box. He just seemed to know what he was doing. The morning, okay, let me do it in order. So that evening after Aretha died, I was falling asleep at night, and suddenly Max sort of crawled up onto the bed and looked at me, and he was purring, and I just had this clear knowing that Aretha was there. And I thought, Aretha, is that you? And Max walked over to me, and Aretha used to love to put her arms around me, and she would nuzzle on my thing and purr. Max did the same thing. He curled up right next to me and began to purr, and we fell asleep that way. The next day when I woke up, Max was like this kind of like a really young kitten. He couldn't eat by himself. We had to kind of be hand feeding him for the next week. He wasn't able to use the box. He wasn't able to jump up on my bed for another couple of weeks. So it just was, I don't know. I kind of always felt that Aretha kind of was there as she kind of incarnated into him. That's just my belief. So anyway, Max lived with me for 24 years almost. He moved with me out to California when I went out to take care of my mom. At that point, he was 16.
Max was like the miracle cat. It was like, wasn't he like given like 6 months to live or something like that? And then he lived another 10 years.
When he was 15 or 16, he came down with kidney disease. Suddenly stopped eating, just looked really sick, lost a whole bunch of weight. I took him to the vet, and he said, well, he's got kidney disease. You need to start giving him these subcutaneous fluids, which means you stick this little needle under his thing and let the fluids drip into him every night. And they said, if you give him the fluids, he could last another 6 months, maybe even a year. So I started giving him the fluids, which actually was not, it was tough for me at first. I thought, I can't stick a needle into my cat. But, he got used to it, and he saw that it made him feel better. And it was kind of a bonding thing for us because he was never the most affectionate cat. But once I started giving him the fluids, he would always want to sit in my lap, or he'd come and curl up next to me in the bed at night and sleep. And he really seemed to thrive. And then someone at the pet store down the street said, oh, Mike, when I went in there and asked him what would be a good food for a cat with kidney disease, he said, oh, my cat had kidney disease and I was giving him the fluids too. But if you change his diet and give him this raw food and these supplements, you may be able to stop giving him the fluids, because my cat lived for, I think he said his cat lived for like 23 or 24 years. And for a number of years, I didn't have to give him the fluids. So that's what I started doing. Max moved out to California with me to take care of my mom at the end of her life. And the first week that we were out there, he got out and disappeared. And once again was gone for 3 days. And this is when I was still giving him the fluid. So once again, I had given up. He was never coming back. I'd gone through my grieving. I did put up signs all over the apartment complex with a reward. And after, I think it was 3 or 4 full days, I got a call from one of the gardeners who said, I think I found your cat. And and I said, where? He said, oh, I'm outside. So I ran out, sure that it was going to be the dead body. And there was Max. And from that moment on, he thrived. Not long after I was able to stop giving him the fluids. He used to go to the beach with me. I'd carry him down in his little carry box and he'd sit.
Okay, I interrupt here. So the beach where the Cardi would go to is down this very long, it's on the Palos Verdes Peninsula. It's very...
I was going to get to that.
Oh. Sorry.
I'd carry him down to the beach in his carry box. And he'd sit in the sun until it started to go down. And as soon as, he really had no hearing or much sight at this point, but he had his inner instincts. The minute the sun would go down to the point where he wasn't comfortable, he would get up and start walking back on the trail, the mile back to the car. And if I was there by myself, I'd grab my stuff. Or if I was there with some friends, I'd say, okay, guys, Max says it's time to go. And we would all just follow him back to the car.
Okay, clearly I interrupted for a reason, because the trail is this back and forth. It's not just, a mile walk. You're going up. It's challenging to anyone. And Max, in his 20s now, is like, gotta go, guys. And he would just walk a mile uphill this craggy, like, cliff. Am I right, Cardi?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And he was fearless. A number of times dogs showed up at the beach and they would like run towards him and he would just look up, and if he needed to, he'd hiss, but usually just his complete lack of fear, the dogs wouldn't know what to do and they kind of sniff him and walk away. But then I decided to, after Mom passed, and midlife crisis stuff for a number of years out in Southern California, which is a whole different story. I decided to move, and I found myself a place up in San Francisco, which is where I live now. And about the month before I left, Max was already starting to fade. His girlfriend, who I had gotten when Max was like already 10 years old, had already passed a couple of months ago, the little Fanny. And so it was just the two of us. And there was one night when he was walking towards the bed and he suddenly stopped and kind of shuddered and just went over. And I ran to him and I said, Max, are you okay? He didn't seem to be breathing. But he was still kind of shuddering. And I, just thought my job is just to sit here and hold him and say, it's time for you to go. It's okay. And just very calmly just sat there and kind of breathed with him, probably for a good 5 minutes. And slowly I noticed this shuddering stopped. He began to breathe. And then he just got up and went into the kitchen and started meowing, which meant he So I fed him, and I'd already called my friend that I was going to meet saying, I'm not going to be able to meet you tonight, but he seemed better. So I called my friend back and said, well, all right, Max seems to have revived. We're going out to dinner. So it was a month or so after that we moved. I found my apartment up in the other thing that I used to have clients in both Southern California, where I was working with or taking care of my mom, and New York. And since I didn't feel safe leaving Max alone and needed to give him the fluids, or I'm not sure I was still giving him the fluids at that point. But anyway, he would fly back and forth with me. And that was at the time when they, you could book a flight where you made sure the cat was and he would get out waiting for the plane. and walk around, and everyone, and same thing on the plane. He would get out and walk around and say hi to the passengers and stuff. So, he was just kind of my traveling companion. So we got him all the way up to San Francisco, and he definitely was he was towards his last legs at this point. He hadn't, he would eat and sleep pretty much. He really wasn't even into cuddling at all. But the night after we got him up here, I was staying at a friend's apartment who was traveling because my apartment wasn't ready yet. So the night before, or the night I got there, he wanted to come out of from his little sleeping bag where he always used to stay, and he suddenly was very affectionate. And we spent probably an hour sitting in the living room floor, just petting him, and he was purring and rubbing up against me. And then he fell asleep. The next morning, I had a client coming over, so there was sun on this little, totally enclosed balcony of this apartment I was staying in. So I put his cat box and his little sleepy bed out in the sun, and was with my client for an hour. And then when I went back out to check on him, he was gone. There was one pee in the box, new pee, so he had peed, and then he was gone. And I looked to see some possible place.
Wait a minute, Cart. I thought he had passed, and then you went out and the body was gone. No?
No.
You mean he just... Okay, keep going. I have the story wrong.
No, he was alive when I took him out there. There was a final pee, and he was gone. I mean, there was really no place he could have gone. I mean, the gate, because the edge of the balcony, because sun could come in, it was this high, and he hadn't been able to jump up even in a small place forever. And there was really no place he even could have squeezed through to get onto the next balcony. Although I did, just thinking possibly happen, I did go to either apartment on either side and say, can I come check your balcony? I looked everywhere. I did look over just in case he could have fallen, but he was gone and there was no sign of him. And I continued to check with Gabriel after he got back to say, ever get some nasty smell coming up around your apartment or something, thinking he could have hidden in some corner? But I don't know. I mean, my belief is that he ascended. He went into his light body and just went.
But that was it? You never saw him again?
Never saw him again. And of course, I grieved, but whenever I tuned into him, it was just like, it was time for me to go, and I left. And
it was time for me to go, and I left, and I didn't just leave. I ascended.
I don't.
Like Jesus Christ.
The other explanation is a bird of prey sensed that there was an old animal there and came down and grabbed him, and that's as crazy as he ascended, right?
Well, yeah, and either way, it's a good way to go. I mean, You know what I mean? It's like he went out. If he went out because some hawk came down and got him, it's like he's like woohoo, and or he just ascended.
Yeah. Well, and my sense is that he got me to San Francisco. He'd met Turo, and he kind of knew that, I was in good hands.
Turo's Cardi's partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was just kind of, well, he was my new, I guess we'd kind of both decided it was maybe going to be a partner at that point. We weren't really sure. But I think Max knew.
But Max knew. Max like, good luck, Cart. I love you. Wow.
And I do believe that this Max, sorry guy, who I believe is his reincarnation. Turo was the one that decided to call this guy Max. There's so many similarities, not only with Max, but with Aretha. This guy comes up and cuddles me just like Aretha used to.
That's a big cat.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's
a Bengal, so he's bigger than the average cat.
Oh my gosh.
So that is the Max story, which is three generations from Aretha into Max 1 and now into Max 2.
Well, and I have to say, Timo, who came in between, definitely had Max and Aretha qualities too. He was a cat that was around before we got Max, who's just been with us for, I guess, going on 4 years now.
So that is, am I right? That is a really good end of cat life story. Even Aretha losing, I mean, it was horrible, of course, to lose Aretha. It's always heartbreaking to lose an animal because we're so bonded to them. but it's almost like, you know, your belief is that Aretha's is still with you.
I think my dreams were her saying, time to go, but I need another, this body's had it, but I need another body because I want to hang out with you. If anyone's watched those, there's a couple of movies, they're based on books called A Dog's Purpose.
The
Dog's Journey.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. So clearly other people have experienced this, that our animal energies, those as who's the writer who wrote Color Purple?
Toni Morrison.
Alice Walker.
Alice Walker. Look at me.
She has a book called The Temple of My Familiar.
Oh, yeah.
And the familiar is the animal, those animals that come to us in life that are there holding the energy of, you could call it the guardian angel or whatever. They want to be with us physically. They're there to help clear energy. And, you know, it's I know when I was working with Emmanuel, he was really clear that a lot of the sicknesses animals get is they're taking on our negative energy and willing to take it on for us and not feel it. Of course, that just made me, that opened me up to too much guilt, so I didn't really want to take that belief. But
because now suddenly somehow I gave
so
Rudy
my
cancer.
animal's sick and it's my fault, right?
Yes, I killed Rudy, basically. So, well, Cart, that was fantastic. Thank you for making this happen. And
yes, I'm glad it worked out. And sorry for the miscommunication.
No worries.
We are.
No worries. I know.
So that's good.
You got to meet Ronnie.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, thank you for all this. You're really helping take my sister to the next level. So.
Oh, that's my pleasure. So I've been wanting to do it.
Super Ronnie. Yeah. Magical Ronnie. I think that's what I call him. Magical Ronnie. So thanks, Cart. I love you.
All right.
We'll talk tomorrow. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
All right.
See ya.
Bye, Cart.
That just happened.
So that's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think my brother's insane? Let me just ask you straight out. Do you think, oh my God, Nelsie's brother's insane, he thinks his cat ascended, or are you thinking, yeah, that could have happened?
I mean, I don't think he's insane, only because, you know, I've been there. I lost my first pet. I mean, I've had pets my whole life. I have pugs. Pugs and my family is a weird thing. We have like generations of pugs. There's always at least one pug in the house. We have 3 pugs right now in the house.
Oh.
Yeah, there was pugs before I was born. So
you're a pug family.
Yeah, and I got a pug myself. I got a personal pug once when I was in middle school.
Double P, personal pug.
Yeah, exactly. Double P. And it died very young. Yeah, because of
honey. And you were in middle school?
I was in middle school, exactly.
Oh,
and that was the first time.
What was his
name? Buckeye. Yeah, because my grandfather was Ohio State. He went to Ohio State. The Buckeyes. Yeah. Yeah, and he died, and it was the first time I really experienced death that close, you know. And so I understand, you know, if, you know, that's what I was saying. I was telling you earlier, like, you know, Cardi, he said goodbye. He was going to go. He was going to leave. He was on his last, you know, few days, and, you know, he was lucky enough to not witness, you know, the last breath, which is hard.
Right.
You know?
So Cardi didn't see Max actually go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's
so
true.
like, I mean, I would rather, you know, assume that, you know, he ascended rather than like, you know, he jumped off balcony and just ended it, you know, whether it was his choice or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I totally understand.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm telling you, if anybody on the planet has a cat that is like, you know, leaves its body and then enters the new cat, and then that if that would happen to anybody, it would happen to my brother. So, you know, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm one of these people that's like, you know, we don't know everything. We think we know everything.
I totally am on the same page.
Yeah. Good.
Plus, I'm also this thing of energy. You know, energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred.
Exactly.
So when you die, you are energy. It goes somewhere.
Where does that energy go? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
No,
you know?
We don't know. And anybody who says they know, they're full of shit. Right. No, I mean, even the people are like, I had a near-death experience, and I believe your near-death experience, and we don't know. Like, and
no
they,
one knows.
and,
No one knows 100%.
Exactly. All right, so I'm glad we figured that out. I'm glad that we figured out that no one knows. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
So I would say, given what we just heard from Adam, that anybody out there who's got a good story, either like of being fired or losing a job, or like with Adam, he lost that internship, but the way he lost it was really an interview that he thought he killed it because he like really went that extra mile, and then he just creeped the guy out. So I'd love to hear, right? I think anything like that.
I'd say like losing your job if you were fired, or a quitting story. Quitting stories are always great, you know.
Quitting stories are good. Losing a job
great.
because you're like, later. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I'd like to hear that. Maybe you lose your job because you lost your shit, because you like just went nuts, and then
I've witnessed that, and I've envied him,
You've envied the guy that had the balls to go.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. You go. Good on you, man.
Good on you, man. Yeah, I got to get back to work.
Yeah. It's like
you're
that
brave,
scene.
but I've got to just finish this email.
What's that scene with I forget where he goes, but who's coming with me? What is that?
Oh, it's oh God, with Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah, with Tom Cruise.
Isn't it Jerry Maguire?
Was it Jerry Maguire? Yeah, I've witnessed one of those in my old job in New York, and it was great.
I love that. Yeah, and you say who's coming with me because everybody's been complaining about it, but no, everybody's
who's coming with me?
Nope, sorry, I got rent next week.
Yeah.
Good luck, buddy.
I respect it though. I respect
you. Yeah, so send those stories in, guys. We want to hear those.
Please. Yeah.
Please. So are we done?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
think we're done. And
that's
my final words are, don't poop in the ocean. See you guys next week. All right?
See ya.
Bye.
Losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it, losing it. You came and you listened to the story. I hope so much that it didn't make you sorry, and I hope so much that you'll come back again.
Losing It, hosted by Nelsie Spencer. Produced by me, Ronnie Whaley. Theme song by Hunter Williams. Follow us online on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all podcasting platforms at Losing It Podcast. Viewers can email Nelsie with questions or comments about life, writing, comedy, or even your own Losing It story for a chance to be on the Losing It Podcast at losingitcontact@gmail.com. For everything Nelsie and everything Losing It, visit us at nelsiespencer.com.